Welcome to SoulHygiene. Real conversations about life, love, forgiveness, grace, and God. I'm Miss Teejay, and this podcast was born from the life God pulled me out of. After years of pain and trauma, He rescued me, renewed me, repurposed me, and showed me how to love life again in Him. Here we talk with guests who've walked through the fire or who are still walking through trials. Some are healing and others are champions for healing. Sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh, but every story points back to hope. My prayer is that something you hear today reminds you, no matter how broken life feels, God still loves you and wants what's best for you. This is SoulHygiene, a mission of grace and restoration, helping victims become victorious. Welcome back, my brave and beautiful humans, to another episode of SoulHygiene. I have a wonderful new guest with us tonight, and she's never been on the podcast. You know how we like these reoccurring guests, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be one, but tonight is her first night, so let's be nice. Her name is Miss Kira, and I actually met her through our wonderful friend, Mr. Chris, who does the Parsons Ministries, and she is learning from him and has just moved to his neck of the woods. So she's a new Christian walking with God. And so I'm excited to get to know more about her. And I really am excited for you guys to get to know her, because hopefully she'll be here more often. So I'm going to let Miss Kira talk, tell us a little bit about her life, let her share what she wants to share. And like always, we'll see where the conversation goes. So welcome to the show, Miss Kira.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I feel very blessed. So we were talking earlier before we started a little bit about your life, how you got to this point. So if you don't mind, just sharing a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, of course. So my whole life, so I'm 41 years old now, and a good, about 20 years or so, I was, in addiction using. Can I say that? Is that right? I can say addiction. Okay. Sorry. So,
Okay.
that's where I was.
By the way, we don't edit the show, so
Okay.
we're just gonna go. Keep going.
Yeah. So I was doing that my whole life. And, it all started with, I think, very typical of your young teenage girl who doesn't fit in anywhere, is very lost and doesn't know right from wrong does know right from wrong, but just so lost in that, like, needing attention, needing validation, very depressed, just crazy out there. I didn't know this at the time, but I had borderline personality disorder. So that kind of explains a lot of my all this or nothing kind of attitude, but just a deep need for validation and love. And that is a whole story that goes back to my dad, I found out, but that's for another topic.
Yeah.
So growing up the way I did, I got very into metal. I was really gothic. And so not a lot of people like those people, because back then that wasn't the cool people. Like, I think nowadays it's kind of cool to be like that, but then it wasn't. And so I got this little tiny crew of people that were just like me. And then boom, guess what they were all doing? So we all started doing all this crazy stuff, and my life just went quickly. But I found my little tribe, right? And I got married kind of young. I'm not super young. I don't know. I guess about 20 years old. Very nice man. I have a child with him, but we didn't make good decisions either. That really took me down a whole dark road. So that really, that's where I feel like the prison started. Like, really it started, because I was now sucked into this bad world and I couldn't see a way out. My depression was at an all-time low. We were doing really stupid things as a couple with other couples, that kind of thing. So everything inside of me started to just break, right? I started to lose myself even more. We split and I got really heavy into my addiction, like so bad. Homeless here and there a little bit, couch surfing a lot, lying, stealing, doing all the things that I needed to do to stay just not here. I didn't want to be here. And, so I lost myself there. Then all of a sudden, what I thought was a knight in shining armor, really wasn't though. He came out of middle nowhere, and what he was using was a lot darker than what I was already doing. And I don't want to go into too much details so we don't get flagged on here for certain words, but the worst thing that you can think of, like that's what we were doing, and that made things so much worse. But we maintained a decent life. We maintained somehow magically a house and cars and monies and jobs and all these things. But inside the home, it was crazy. It was really, 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 really bad. A lot of SA, a lot of all the things. And I lost myself. I had lost myself. It was the first time I had ever heard the word narcissist. And I was like, oh, that makes sense too, right? And that's when I started seeing, demonic presences like right there in front of me. My whole world was just gone. I was lost. I was so lost. And there was no way out. And I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself anymore. That was scary. When you can't see you anymore, you're looking at something, but it's not you. It's a distorted version of you. And nobody around you cares because they're all the wrong people. And you don't know what to do. You're just done. You can't take it anymore. So I got to that point and I just kind of mentally gave up. And I just decided to be basically an empty vessel of a human being. And I just said what I needed to say to keep the peace, kept my head down, and I just accepted that my life was going to be like that. And then eventually he lost his job because he got caught using.
Welcome
And
back,
this
my
is where
brave and
God shows
beautiful
up.
humans, to another episode
And
of
it was
Soul
so cool
Hygiene.
because he was randomly like, we need to move to Minnesota. That's the only way I'm going to get sober. And I'm like, what's in Minnesota? Like, we don't know anything about Minnesota. We're from Utah. Sorry, we're from Utah. I forgot to
Oh,
tell you that. We were living in Utah.
wow.
That's where I grew up my whole life, was in Utah.
Wow.
And so I was like, sure, why not? Let's go to Minnesota. We went to Minnesota. We lived in this small town of like 900 people. I started bartending. I was really good at it. And we were sober, drinking a little bit, but sober. And I would go on these walks with my dogs and then in nature in the forest with all these lakes. It was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. At this time, I was a little into witchcraft, tarot heavily, crystals heavily. I believed in the universe, nothing about God though. But I would go on these walks with my dogs and I was so happy to be sober. And I was talking to this universe thing, right? I didn't know it was God though. But that's when God really started showing me up. Like he started showing up and like I started feeling this different peace. And I was like, ooh, this is nice. Well, my husband at the time decided, no, this isn't what I want either. And he started using again. So that ruined everything for me. Then he moved us to Arizona and it was the worst it had ever gotten. And I was done. So because I was an empty shell of myself, and then all of a sudden I had a little bit of peace and I was like, ooh, there's hope. There was hope. And then that got taken away from me. Something inside me was like, you know what? No, not taking this anymore. I'm over it. I'm done. And God opened a door for me to go back to Minnesota, grab my dog, grab a duffel bag full of clothes, leave him, leave all of that behind. And I literally started over with just my dog, duffel bag of clothes, $0. That was it. And of course, God made that happen. Of course, God made a way. He made a beautiful way to literally get me sober, safe, peace, like everything that I could need to get back on my feet. He provided all of that. It just happened. It was insane. And And I didn't know it was God yet. I went back to Minnesota, and there was this one person there. His name, oddly enough, was named Chris as well. So God keeps putting these people named Chris in my life. But this guy named Chris was working at the bar with me, and he started talking about Jesus. And he was very different than any other guy I'd ever met. He was kind. He was hold himself accountable. He would come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I got mad at you for something." And I was like, "I didn't know you got mad at me." And he's like, "Well, I know I got mad at you, so I had to apologize." And I was like, "What is this stuff? What is this man talking about? Men don't hold themselves accountable. Not in my world." But
Yeah.
he was different. And I was like, "Okay, so you like Jesus. Is that why you're different?" Apparently that's why he was different, because he was a Christian.
Mhm.
So that got me a little interested. So I started going to church. I gave my life to Jesus. I didn't know what that meant, but my life changed immediately. That next morning, something changed inside of me. I wasn't the same person. I had different, like, I wanted to be different. I wanted to be better. I didn't want to talk like a sailor anymore. I didn't want to do all these things that I was doing. Something was different. These burdens were lifted off of me. There was healing already done overnight because I said yes to Jesus. And I was like, what? So then I'm on fire for Jesus, right? And I'm going to Bible studies, and I'm asking all these questions, and everyone's like, "Whoa, you're a lot. Like, you really are on fire for Jesus." And I'm like, "Yeah, because he changed my life overnight, and I don't even know why. Like, what is
Mhm.
happening?" 6 months of accepting that I was special to him, 6 months of me learning that I was worthy of his love. 6 months, that first 6 months was so hard. It was a lot of tears, a lot of praying, a lot of not understanding, but there was something shifting. And then about after that 6 month mark, I started to go, "Oh, I get it. You love me. You love me and you forgive me, which means there is a chance for me to go out and show the world that you can love them too. You can fix broken people too. You can save them too." And I was like, I need to tell everyone. And I started doing that. I'm like, "Do you know about Jesus?" People are like, "Yeah, you didn't." I'm like, "No, I didn't." And I've been on fire for Jesus ever since. And so, because God got me out of my hell, my torment, my pain, my suffering, he has set me free. My whole life is now for him. I live for him, and I want to spread that love and joy that God has given me to everyone. And so that's why, I met Chris Parsons, and he's going out and he's doing the same thing. He's loving on people. He's helping them out of that pit. And because God had done that for me, I need to do that for others too. I want to show women, especially women, that they can leave bad situations. They can survive. There is hope for them too. They're just fearful. I was fearful, but there is a way. So that's kind of my thing.
Amen. Well, that
Yeah.
was enjoyable. I enjoyed it very much. I think before we started recording, I told you I'm really proud of you because addiction is hard, you know. And the funny thing is that everyone thinks that, yes, God changes your life and he can change you immediately. And for some people, it just takes him guiding them and showing them, hey, I do love you. Hey, I do forgive you. You have to believe it, you know?
Mhm. Yes.
And that's the amazing thing that God is so patient. He's a gentleman, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He's a gentleman. If you want to do something, he's going to let you do it, but there's going to be consequences. You know what I mean? But when you're saved, it's like, okay, let's take one day at a time if that's what we need. I know,
Yeah.
I know you better than anyone. I created you, and you
Yeah.
are perfectly, wonderfully, and fearfully made. Right?
Yes.
So, in that sense, it's like God already knows everything about us.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what makes us tick. He knows what makes us happy and excited. And we should always be joyful, especially when we get to tell people how he's changed our lives.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've been on this journey for 6 years, and every day I intentionally wake up grateful to open my eyes, but also asking God, no matter what happens, show me blessings, even if they're bad. And the amazing thing about God is if you ask him, he's going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Because again, he's a gentleman. He's going to show you. And I'm able to look back on my life, a little bit about what I shared with you, and people on the podcast already know, but I'm able to look back on my life now and everything that has happened to me and see how God's hand was there.
Yeah.
Or how there were blessings that got me over.
Yeah.
That got me through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's, a lot of people, and here's the thing that happens, unfortunately, with people in our circumstances, and men or women, right? But who go through traumatic situations, they get stuck. They get stuck in their head.
Yes.
And that's why God's so important, because the first thing you do is you ask him into your heart. The second thing you do is ask him to help you with your thoughts and your mind. Our mind is our worst enemy. If we don't have good thoughts, if we don't have God up there, then our thoughts are not holy. Our thoughts are not going to be what they should be.
They're absolutely terrible.
No, and they can ruin us. They can take us down a path that we don't want to go. But the amazing thing is when you are intentional about your life and about what you want God to give you, he's going to do it. And he's going to help you with those thoughts. And I can look back, and I don't have anxiety anymore. I don't get upset. I don't get triggered. And people are always like, you're always going to get triggered. For some people who've been through heinous things, possibly worse than you or I, understandable. They still need Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Need him more than ever. But it is a miracle when God can take people like us, women like us, our lives, and turn it around to where we don't have triggers. We don't look back and we're not like, oh, woe is me, or I'm just such a victim. And, we make ourselves victims sometimes, no matter what we've been through. If we stay stuck in our head, we're creating that victim mindset. And that's where forgiveness, where accountability comes into play.
Yes.
Because no matter what happens to us, unfortunately, most of the time, I will say 90% of the time, we're never going to get an I'm sorry. We're never going to have closure on a situation where we wish we could.
Right.
And why would you want closure from someone who hurt you anyway?
Yeah.
You need to learn how to forgive so we can have peace.
Yeah.
And then
some of those people are just sick. They're still sick. Like my ex is still sick. He's still using, like he's right now, unless he ever gets sober, there's no way he's ever going to be able to even understand that he's, he has all this stuff. So I'm not mad at him anymore. Like he's got his sin. He's got his sickness. It is what it is. Now it has nothing to do with me. It's accountability for me. I just need to say, okay, it is what it is. I'm moving forward. I'm not going to let that victimize me. Because like you said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the victim. No, that is not my identity. My identity is in Jesus, and there's no victim in Jesus.
Right. No, there isn't. The only victim, I believe, was Jesus. They hung him on a cross.
I know.
For no reason at all. I think he's the only victim in history. But we do have things bad that happen to us. And I don't want to minimize what people have been through, obviously, because there are hurting people. There are people who need help. And that's why I have Soul Hygiene as a purpose. This is my life's purpose, to help women understand that they don't have to be victims. They don't have to be. No. You can be victorious over this. Yes. And I love that you said that, because I don't look at my exes or the men who abused me. I don't I see them now as men who had issues. They had their own demons to deal with. They had their own stuff to deal with. And I think it takes God to reveal that. Someone without God will hold grudges, will be mad, will be depressed, will, just completely be like, well, I want to be vengeful or whatever it is, right? When you have God, I want to say it's easy to forgive, but it's easier.
Yeah.
Because he forgives you. And when you have accountability and you look at yourself and you're like, oh man, all this stuff that I have done and he forgives me and he loves me. How can I not forgive and love other people?
Right.
No matter what they do.
Yeah, because I know for me, even though all this stuff happened to me, I still was a problem too. There was a lot of things that I did on my own. I instigated fights. I said mean things. I did bad things. Like there was all these things that I did too. It wasn't just like, oh, poor me. Literally, I'm the victim. Like, no, things happened to both people. Maybe something was worse that he did. In my mind, I don't know. But, if you were to talk to him, I'm sure he'd have a lot to say too. But we were both really sick, and that's the thing with God is when you learn God's character, when you learn about the spiritual warfare that's happening, you can turn around and look at somebody and go, okay, so you don't have God, which means you don't understand how much you are loved. You don't understand that you're still in sin. You don't understand that there's a whole thing going on here. You're just out there, and you're not paying attention really. You're blinded, you're not ready yet, or whatever your reason is. And so how can you possibly be mad at somebody that just doesn't know? Like I didn't know. I had no idea that all of this was here waiting for me. And if you told me like everything, if you said this is Kira, like this is Jesus, he loves you, if you would have given me all this information, it wouldn't have gotten there. And if somebody did, I don't remember it because I wasn't ready yet. I couldn't hear it yet, whatever it was, right? So you can't be mad at people like that. You just have to go, okay, well,
yeah,
it is what it is. You pray for them and you move on. But now, as soon as you have God, now you have to hold yourself accountable. You can't be running anymore because now you do know the truth. Now you need to get better.
right. And and people look at me because I did have God and I still went through 25 years of not knowing him. So there's a difference in being saved and knowing you're saved, but abiding, constantly abiding in God's love, in God's reality, right? Instead of our own reality. And it wasn't until 6 years ago where I understood that. I really understood what abiding meant and not just holding him at arm's length. Like, when something bad happens, I'm going to call on you. And hopefully you're there. And the sad part is that that's what people think prayer is. Prayer isn't just asking God to help you out of bad situations. It's, hey, thank you for doing this for me. Hey, God, hey, God, I want to pray for somebody else. Hey, I don't need this. I want somebody else to have it. It says in the Bible that when we're saved, we die to ourselves every day. That means what we want is not usually what God wants, unless we are abiding in God's truth and God's reality. So it's amazing. I love seeing new Christians on fire. Because to everyone calls me an old Christian, but I'm actually sometimes I feel like I'm new because I'm really just learning what God can do in someone's life, But I think that's a great thing. I think that Christians can become stale. I think that they can just, hey, I'm going to heaven, so I don't need to do anything while I'm here. But that's not what God asks of us. He says, you have me, go be fishers of men. And that means go cast your net, go tell people, And I love that you have that fire and that you're just, I want to tell people because when you know God can heal and that there is hope, want to give other people hope.
Right. Because everyone, I don't care who you meet, like I have a lot of people in my life that are literally like, I'm good, I'm fine. I'm like, you're not fine though. Like, I see you're not fine. You know who's great with not fine? Jesus. He's really good at that. Like, and I promise you, like, even if you were good, like if everything was in your life was great, you still need Jesus. You still need the God who created you, because he created us a certain way. That puzzle piece inside of you is missing. I don't care if everything in your life is great. That's missing. And in order to finish your puzzle, you need God.
And I love your story just because it wasn't that someone came knocking on your door, opened the Bible and said, here, Kira, this is how you get saved. It was that little subconscious,
Yeah.
there's something missing. There's something else. And God says that every single person that he creates knows there's a God.
Yeah.
They know
Exactly.
it. And
Yes.
so I love stories like yours because no one came and told you.
No.
You knew because God put that knowledge in every single person that he's real. And he says, if you come searching, you will find.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Like, I love that you have that testimony because that's just, that's unique. A lot of people get saved in church. A lot of people get saved by people, saying, hey, let me open the Bible. Let me show you. But no one had to show you.
No, I saw something, I was like, what is happening here? There was something that I was like I could feel it, I was like, I can't accept my life the way it is. There's gotta be something better. And then all these things were happening and I'm like, what is this? I need this. Whatever this is, I need that. That looks great. It feels
And that's
great.
it. Yeah. You were searching.
Yeah.
You were searching. And he's like, okay, you want to search? Then I'm going to show you.
Yeah. And he has shown up in huge ways ever since. And, it's only been 2.5 years, but I've already moved to 2 different states. Like, I try my best to just live for him. I'm human, so obviously I get caught up in stupid things every once in a while. But he's kept me sober. Yeah. But he's kept me sober. He keeps me going. I have a purpose now. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that I am just living in his will. I don't need anything for me. I want whatever he wants to be done. I want to live for him because that brings me joy, and all these little blessings. And just even like hearing Chris Parsons, like even if there's nothing going on in my life, Chris Parsons already has like 10,000 stories that happened in one morning.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's mind blowing. So even if I just have to watch him, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I'm just grateful that I get to be a little sliver on the outside of that window that gets to watch all that. Like, God is moving, you guys. He is moving, and it's so beautiful to watch.
And I love that it's now. I feel like right now we're in a battle of good and evil. And if you're a Christian, you feel it, right? You know that this isn't political. This is a battle of good and evil. And this is a generation of, if we listen, and especially the younger generation, if they listen, they could change the whole trajectory of where this country is going. And we can move back to God.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to watch. And I'm super excited. Like, I hope that you will be a regular on the show because I would love that. But, I would love to be able to follow your journey and be able to, see where you're at in a year. You just say, and this is what happened. And because God's always moving.
Yeah.
It's if we want to with him. And if we are going to listen to him saying, hey, I got something for you. And every Christian has a purpose. Your purpose is to tell people about Jesus.
Yes.
And then he can give you other, right?
Yeah.
Once you have that down, he's going to be like, all right, I got another purpose for you here, Miss Kira. And,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
so much.
yeah,
There's so many people that you can talk to. There's so much that needs to happen, and honestly, from day one, what he put on my heart was doing traveling, evangelizing. I would love to be able to travel the world, tell the whole world about Jesus, just put it all out there, share my testimony, help who I can, reach who I can. It would be amazing to do that.
well, I think you're on the right path. And I really see that happening for you. So I'm pretty blessed to have gotten to meet you and to know you. And I know we're going to get to know each other better. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. And you come back and join us, and we'll have another update on Miss Kira and where she's at. And yeah,
That would be great. Thank
it's
you.
gonna be amazing. I already know it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on this show and just sharing your heart with us and sharing your journey. And
Anytime.
back, and we'll be blessed to have you back. Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Soul Hygiene. If you want to get to know Miss Kira or
Thank you for listening to this podcast. It's not about perfection. It's about redemption, resilience, and the God who never stops searching for us. If something here spoke to you, let it stir your heart toward healing and toward the Redeemer. Share it with someone who needs a little light, a little laughter, or a little faith to keep going. I'm Miss Teejay, and this is Soul Hygiene, where we learn, grow, forgive, and keep walking together in grace.
in the bio, like we always. Wonderful night.